welcome to my YouTube channel, Juliet McNeil Crafts. So today is another Dawn and Julia Create, and we are on part 2 of the Build a Robot. So very exciting, thoroughly enjoyed watching Dawn making hers, and we went in total different directions and we actually didn't call it. I know, I went black gesso and she went white. Who knew? Anyway, that was a nice surprise. So today we have to decide what to do with it, and in all honesty I had absolutely no idea. So I showed my robots to my daughter Kezia and said, what should I make with these? And she went, either a robot factory or a robot city. So I thought that was quite a good idea, that we were to build a scene to house at least one of our robots. So that's the plan. To build the scene, we can use cardboard. Look, I've brought my entire stash of cardboard because I wasn't quite sure how much I would need. I don't know if this can actually fit under the camera. Look, that's my bag, my Tesco bag for life, full of cardboard. I can't actually, it's that high, I can't fit it in front of the camera without damaging it. So we've got cardboard. I've also added in this die set from Pretty Gets Gritty pipes. So I knew Dawn had this. That's in my shop as well, and that's what this looks like here. So I've cut a load of them out, but I've also kept the waste. We can use any leftovers from the robot pack that we have. We have to use all the same products that we used before. So I can use marble texture paste, I can use black gesso, I can use all the colour paints I had, I can use, I used the mousses and the copper, the blue and the pink, and yeah, so I can use all of that, and one other product. I added that in because Dawn used souffle on hers, and I was like, oh, I wish I'd remembered souffle, so we're allowed one extra product. Now, because I used black gesso to build as the base of my robots, and my background, the base has to be white. So our bases have to be the opposite of what we had before. So we'll be using exactly the same colours, but this time I'll be going on white and Dawn will be going on black. So I just thought that was a bit interesting, partly because I wanted to show how different. Let's pull a bit of cardboard out. What do we have? First out of the box is this. Actually, if I just cut along those fold lines, that would kind of work. Yeah, partly because I kind of really wanted to show the difference between black and white gesso, and how you can have the exact same products and how different they look if you put them on a different coloured gesso. That was the sum total of my thoughts on the matter. So, let's just... and I just thought it would be an added extra challenge to it. So I'm trying to do this and not very well. I'm just going to cut this apart. Okay, so I've cut this box into different strips. I think I'm going to use this one just because he's shorter. I don't really know. At the minute I'm inclined towards this one. Oh, honestly, see this Fitbit thing? It's really annoying me. I'm really wanting to wear it because it counts my steps, but it just keeps unhooking there, which is really annoying. Right, anywho, that's not what we're talking about. I thought we could, if I put those like that and then that across that could be kind of like a path. Right, so then we could have, let's have a gap in the middle and have a tree. I'm sure robots like trees too. Or actually, maybe I'm going to have a shorter building, but have it more angled. So when doing something like this, it's not being too scared and remembering that it's all just shapes. Now, I might cut into that in a bit, I don't know. Maybe I'll just have, 3 buildings. I have no idea what I'm doing. It'll be fun to see how Dawn gets on. She liked the idea of it though, so that's good. Right, I'm going to need some clouds because it's me. So let's draw some clouds. So I'll have 2 clouds, just as a rough guide. And let's have a tree, which is one of those shapes, but just more round. Okay, that'll do. So we'll cut those out. So I'll just cut one out on camera and then I will cut the rest after. And the other thing that I might do with the pieces that I've cut is just expose some of the texture a little bit. I'm pretty sure Dawn will do this too. And we'll both call it as well. We'll both say, Dawn will say, I'm pretty sure Julia will expose the texture. And I've said it about her too, so pretty sure that we will. So you don't have to worry too much about just shapes. And as I said, when doing things like this, we're not thinking of anything complicated. It's literally like sort of rectangles and triangles. Anyone can draw those. So we can do that. So this is going to be my cityscape. I might have a wee cloud. A cloud popping. Yeah. Who knows? Something like that. And then the other thing I'm going to do is just grab the edges there and expose some of that texture, and I'm going to do it on all of the pieces because I think that's going to help it to have that sort of industrial feel. So I'm going to get all my shapes and bits and pieces, do this with all the various pieces, and then I will come back to you. Okay, so we have chopped everything and torn the edges, and we have created a lovely mess. And I don't want my white gesso, I want my gel medium. So I'm going to start building it now. This is just going to be the first layer. Then I think I'm going to add some bits and pieces of here for added texture, and then we will work out. Yes, we'll work it out as we go along because I'm not fully exactly sure. But it gets to the point where you just need to start. Don't need to worry about this too much. I could probably get away with just normal glue, to be honest, because it's just cardboard. But I know at some point it's going to be supporting MDF. So I would rather it just be a little bit stronger if I can make it just that little bit stronger. I think that would be wise. So I'm just going to go for it and stick the... Why I'm putting gel medium all the way up there? That was a bit stupid. Ugh. Oh well. Stick on this part, Julia. Hopefully I'll not stick it to my desk. I'm going to leave it there for just now because I might have things popping from behind it, so it could be all good. So I'm not going to stress about it too much at this moment in time. Let's get a bit of gel medium under there. Right. The other good thing about gel medium is you do have a little bit of wiggle room at first. So these are buildings in my head. In my head, those are buildings. And this is a road. Can you tell? I'm just going to put some scraps along here so that we've got an even surface to stick my road onto. So here's some scraps left over from there. And we'll just pop those down. Like so. Pop another one here. So this, I'll probably get this to the stage of getting it stuck down, getting a bit of texture paste on there because I used my marble paste in the original robot, so I can use that again. And then we will probably have to leave it most of the day. But what I probably will do is leave it, and then this evening before I go to bed, stick some white gesso on it. And then hopefully we'll be ready to go again tomorrow morning. I'm currently filming on Tuesday, which, you know, for me, is quite organised. So I'm very impressed with myself. Right, so that's my road. See, eventually he'll stand on the road. That makes sense? Right, got some funky trees going on. I'll stick that one just on the edge there. I'll take away the hard edge of this one there. And then I've got a little bitty one, which we can put just there. Okay, and then we can have a big one. Actually, let's pop. There you go. And that gives that one something to stick onto as well. Although I probably should put glue underneath first. That probably would be more sensible. Right, there we go. This is not wanting to stick down this side for some reason. I'll get some more. Just hold that a second. Right, let's put some globules of gel medium on these pieces here. So obviously when I peeled and all the bits, I didn't, let's get a bigger one on that one. I didn't actually, I want this a bit taller. I'm just going to raise it again, sorry. I said this is one advantage of a gel medium, there is quite a bit of wiggle room, which means you can just sort of change your mind like that every so often if you want to. So we've got our trees, because I'm sure even in a city, the little robots want trees. Right, there we go. And I'm thinking I might give them like cog apples, or cog flowers, something along those lines. Haven't fully decided yet. Now that loose edge will bother me, so we'll be covering that up at some point. Right, so let's get a cloud here. Cloud there. And then one a bit further up. I'm trying to get it so that I don't have hard edges. We still have a few left. But I will gradually work on those. Now, I've got a thing about hard line edges. I don't know why. I just do. Right, we're going to have to. I may need some more clouds. Yeah, that actually looks fine there. I like that. Okay, so this will all be a little bit just delicate at the minute and look like it's all just going to fall apart, but once that gel medium is dry, it'll be absolutely fine. Okay, so that's the basis of my cityscape. I realise at the minute that looks a hot mess, but trust the process. Now I'm going to take some of these bits and pieces here, and I'm not actually going to overthink it at all. I'm just going to get these down. I'm thinking with the pipe work that I actually might do that separate. I'm thinking of sort of building up some of the layers to make it almost look like MDF pieces. So these, I might just colour them separate in very pipey colours, like, because I did use that, just moving these to the side, I did use the whipped mousse in the copper, so I could use that to do sort of pipe work at the end. At the minute I'm just trying to create a more industrial look on these, so it looks a little bit more like a robot thing. I will eventually put doors and windows on this as well, so we will start cutting more cardboard at some point. As I said, this is just to... Once all of this is knocked back with white gesso and becomes one, it will make more sense. Right now, it's just like, what on earth is this crazy woman doing? And I do understand that that's what it looks like, so I'm not offended. I'm not offended if you're thinking, what are you doing? So that's why I'm not overthinking it, because it's going to just be a background element feature. It's not going to be the main element, but just, as I said, I'm just trying to build up a much more industrial feel. I don't, however, want it going between the buildings. I want the buildings to look separate. There we go. So I'm hoping that will make sense. So what I might do is, as I carry on doing that, I will pop yours. If this is overly distinguishable what it is. I've got 3 buildings here like that, and then as you would have seen, I cut out and added the door and window pieces like that, and yeah, so I'm loving the way it's looking, but I think I can see the future vision. I will also cut this away once it's all dry, because that will bother me, but then I think it looks, because this almost looks like a building here. So I'm just going to pull out the MDF and have a little look at the pieces that we've got here and see if there's anything I want to add at this stage. As I said, I think the cogs and the pipes I'm going to add later, just in that I want to give them a different colour so that they stand out from whatever colours we do in the background. So, oh, that could make quite a cool chimney. So, now, as I said, I'm just going to add some bits and pieces. To what we've got here. I'm just going to need to put, this is a bit wobbly, so let's get some more gel medium down. Tell you that gel medium's good stuff. I'd rested some of the windows down to sort of place them, and then went back to glue them, and some of them had already stuck just from the leftover bits that were lying around there from earlier. I'll pop that there. That might make quite a good chimney. What else do we have? Oh, here's another one. Although I quite like, I'll pop that there. Yeah, pop it there actually. That'll make a chimney for that one. I mean, I could have done this with cardboard as well, because it's just shapes, but I'm mixing it up because I can, quite frankly. And it also shows this build a robot kit. Yes, we can build robots with it, and as we saw last week, we can manage to do that perfectly. Let's have some doorknobs. These will work for doorknobs. But we can also just use them to build a robot city. There's plenty in it. There's so much in this that, yeah, there's plenty to go around. Oh, I don't know. What else do we have? I think we're probably quite good as we are. I feel like I would like a bit of interest on this bit here. It's needing a bit of something just to make it look slightly more interesting. Could have it. Yeah, if we did that, it's almost like the things of a door. Does that make sense? Like the hinges of a door. Okay. I've just been listening to music while I've been putting this together, so it's like it's all still in my head. I'm trying best not to like sing, do a little hum thing of what's in my head, because you know all the. Oh yes, I like that. That's very wonderful. Cool. Do we want any just random bits just here for the sheer fun of it? Oh, that could be like traffic lights. It's one of the legs. But I'm thinking that we could have funky traffic lights. Or just that. Because I want to be able to cut it round it easily. Oh, do you know what? It looks random and I don't know what it's meant to be, but I like it, so I'm going to do it because we are trying to create a whimsical world here. There we go. I mean, it could be some sort of fountain. Some of these like little planters. Oh, I'm just having a lovely time. Just getting right carried away with myself here. Oh, I like that there. There we go. And do you know what? Out of all the bits, I've still probably got enough to build more robots. There we go. I promise this will all make more sense once we start colouring in. I feel like we need a bit of interest over here. And then we're all good to go, possibly. Have another random planter. These are like the nice town, you know, you go in and they've got the nice floral town displays. That's what these are. And we've still got our pipe work to go on. Where that's going to go, I don't know. I don't know if we've got room for it, but you know, I don't care. I'm happy. I will put it on. We will find space. It looks quite busy now, but once it's all the one colour, it'll not look as busy. Okay. See, I have no idea what these little quirky bits are, but they're making me happy, so I'm going with it. Right, so the last thing to do before we leave this for the day to dry and do its thing, I also put little bits there for running the road. So then, if we imagine we've got our little, although I almost don't want to hide in a little city. I've got a little guy that'll stand somewhere, which will work out later. Okay, so let's get the marble paste out. It's got my marble texture paste. This is my favourite texture paste in the world. It's awesome stuff. You hear that crunch? It's just lovely, and it's great for sort of steampunky style stuff because it's really good for you can create a real oxidized, really rusty look. So it works for steampunk, but it'll work for robots too. The thing is, we went for that patina look on our robot, so it's going to work. I'm going to pop some just in various places. I think I'm going to do this line here, just to sort of disguise that we've got a solid line. Sort of blend it all in a little bit. And then we'll give our trees some added texture and possibly our clouds. So at this stage, we're not thinking about how it looks. I realise that it looks a hot mess. All we're thinking right now is of texture and things like that. How it looks on the eye at the minute doesn't really matter. So this is the thing with mixed media. This is probably the worst stage when you're putting it all together. It's especially if you're using a hodgepodge of lots of different like trinkets and things, and they're all random colours, normally gross colours as well, because they're things that we've got left. No, it's not green colours like that. I had to get that in somewhere, let's face it. So it's handy for stuff like using up stuff that you don't like, because once you've got that gesso on, nothing matters, because it all just, you just neutralise it all. So you just, at this minute, you kind of, I'm thinking of the overall picture, I'm thinking of the scene, I'm not thinking about how random it looks, because it will not look random. When it comes back in a couple of seconds, because obviously it'll be tomorrow morning for me, but when it comes back, it will all of a sudden just look like it's meant to be, because it'll all have been gessoed. Oh, I'm having a little bit of a stomach rumble. It's only 11:30. So I may have to go and get myself a cappuccino biscuit once this is dry. So we're getting texture on the clouds, and then odd bits of texture in various other places. On the clouds I'm sort of going to the areas where I don't have the texture from the, what do you call it, the corrugated card. That's what I mean. Let's get some more down on the ground here as well, just so that we can transition the various areas and gaps and things like that. It's a bit messy down here. We've got lots of uneven edges that haven't been covered with extra things, so if I just spread this stuff over here, it's going to help with that. I'm going to have to treat myself to a new pot of this stuff. It's one of my favourites. I must use some of the, try some of the coloured stuff. I've got some gorgeous new Pretty Gets Gritty products that I really need to sort of swatch and do reviews on. But coloured texture paste, like coloured gritty paste like this, is one of the things. Is that enough texture? Am I happy? I want one right in the middle of the window. I'll put a bit there because I want to actually just seal the bit between the two. Spin it on. Okay, so I think that might be us for today. So in a couple of seconds you will see this all. I'm not going to pick it up because it's all going to fall apart, because it needs to stick. It needs that gel medium to do its magic. But as I said, I'm going to gesso it off camera because I don't think you need to see that. It'll probably take at least 3 coats, I would say. But I'll let you know when I come back and we'll get colouring. So we're all gessoed up now, and I have pulled out all my colours. I'm kind of thinking this was maybe a bit of a strange thing to do, is try and colour it after the fact. But there you go, it is what it is. So thankfully I've pulled out, these are all the same colours of paints, the Pebble paints that I used to do my robots. I've also got out the 3 whipped mousses because they can be used as paints as well. Obviously I used black gesso in the last project, and we've got white gesso because I used the opposite one in this. So hopefully this is going to be my colour palette then now to create our little scene. So I'm just going to put a first coat of paint on this. It is going to look well dodgy at this point. It's yeah, it's going to take all the shades and tones and everything for it to start looking like anything in particular. So yeah, not be overly optimistic as to how it's going to look straight away. So don't worry about it. It always looks a little bit dodgy. How much better does it look now that it's all white though? We've kind of maybe lost the texture a little bit, but it no longer looks quite as random. Once we get the paint on, you can actually see what it is, and also I cut away that little bit just there as well. So yeah, this is going to take a good few coats, and it's going to, well, even just getting the one coat on it is going to be a while. So what I'm going to do is most likely pop you on fast forward whilst I get this first coat on, and then I'll come in and speak to you for a little bit whilst we build up the colour, and then I'll go and fast forward again. Because yeah, this is one of these that I'm probably going to be at this most of the day and most of the evening, and yeah, but we'll have fun doing it, and that's what it's all about. So yeah, I will see you in a mo. Okay, so this is the first coat of colour. It's the first time it started to look like what it's meant to look like a little scape for one of our little characters. So I don't know who's gonna stand on. I'm thinking maybe him. He looks a bit rusty, doesn't he, in comparison? But we'll blend it all so it works better. Yeah, so this is the first thing, and I said it's the first time I think we can actually see this the cityscape rather than a mishmash of stuff. So yeah, it does look a bit dodgy. It looks a bit like Child's Play at the moment because, as I said, we've just got that first layer on and it's very flat. It's all one-toned. So I'm going to, let's build up these trees together, and then I will continue to do that, but I'll do the rest of it on fast forward. Just to put it in perspective, this bit that I've just done has taken me about half an hour. So I know it's like sped up into a little, but you can imagine if I've got to do quite a number of layers and blending and stuff, that, you know, it would be a really, 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 really long video if I did that. So, but I know a lot of you like learning about the colour technique and about colour theory and how I blend the colours together and stuff like that. So I still want to cover that so that you don't feel like you're missing out. But obviously I don't want you to have to, you know, it's not a mini series. I'm having to pull paint out of my tube. Right, also to blend that grey, I will touch on that. If you just blend black and white together, it looks really, really flat. You don't get a nice grey. Our art teacher used to ban us from actually using grey, which felt a bit mean at the time. But he just said it, and it was never a nice, mix black and white and you don't get a nice grey. So that was black, white, that was my gessos, and then I put a little bit of that teal blue in it as well, and it just almost turns it to more of a slate grey. So I don't have a yellow because I didn't use yellow in my original robot, so I don't have yellow. So we are don't quite have the three primary colours, which I normally would. So we're kind of having to work without that at the minute. So I'm going to put another coat of this. This is Venice yellow. It's more of a mustard. So we have this mustard and we have the gold, so that's sort of replace it. Those are I'm using for my yellow tones to start off with. So that's what we're starting with. And yeah, and I've kind of got my blue with the teal, and we've got a pink, so we should be able to build up some different colours. I'm just putting another coat of this on, and then we'll blend into it with the other layers. The other reason that I wanted to block out colour was I wasn't actually quite sure where I was going with the colours either. I wasn't quite sure what was going to be what colour, so I just found blocking it out easier, and then we'll work with it. So the reason I'm doing the trunk first is I am actually sort of, in trying to get in all the nooks and crannies of that, I'm ending up putting paint on the tree parts, which I don't particularly want brown on the tree parts, but I can paint them later. Whereas if I do it the other way round, we could have issues. So I've just put that down already because we had a bit of a base. We do have multiple tones sort of going on. So I'm going to go in and take some of that darker brown now, because we had that in creating the rust effect, and blend that into that yellow a little bit. And I'm going to try and grab some of those shadows. So just underneath where the leaves are. This one's got a second tree here, so there will be a shadow down here. Anything in front has a shadow behind. Look at how much darker that line is on my hand than without. So don't be afraid of using shadows in your work. So there'll be quite a big heavy shadowed area here, because we've got sort of the underneath of this and that, and then we've got these trees coming together. And again, we would have a little bit of shadow up here, and we'd have it down there. Now, I had originally said one other product, because I wanted to use my souffle, but I may sacrifice the souffle again in lieu of being able to get my black distress ink on here to completely finish the blending for myself. We will see. Okay, so that's the trees looking slightly better, and then maybe what you do as well is if I grab some of this gold, we can create some more highlighted areas. It's amazing how quickly that can look a whole lot better, just by the fact that we've got multiple tones on it. I'm a huge believer in having shadows and highlights. It really does lift your work. As I said, we'll go from this looking like child's play for it to looking slightly better. I'm not going to go as far as saying professional, because it's fun with a bit of cardboard and it's me. But yeah, it kind of goes from it looking very flat to that to looking like it's got a bit more purpose. So I'm a bit happier with these tree bases now. So I'll do the leaves with you as well, and then I'll pop you on fast forward as I work on the rest of the piece. Just getting these shadow areas. Right, so for the trees, I'm going to do a similar thing. I'm going to come in first of all with the teal in certain areas and just rub that on. Not everywhere on it, just in certain points. I'm not thinking of colour theory here so much, because this is probably more to do with density, not colour theory, light and shade as to where the shadows would be, because this will be to do with density of where the branches and things are, and we can't see those, and how thick the leaves are, so I'm not going to overthink it. So I'm going to put that in there. So that's our first colour, and I'm going to grab some of that green again that we've got and work that into the teal. As I work it in, we'll create new colours. So although we're using 3 colours, we're going to have a vast array of tones in there, because you can have bits where it's mixed to different degrees. And then probably once we've done all this, I'm going to dry brush it in black, I think, which I know is going to take away from the vibrancy, but I think our little robots are so dark, it's going to look really out of place on this. I mean, the whole idea of doing the 2 separate colours was to sort of show the difference that these colours and products have on a different background and surface, so you can see how much brighter, 'cause these are all the exact same colours that I used on him, and look how different he looks, just the fact he went on black. So that is kind of what I was wanting to illustrate, but I do also want it to look like he belongs here and not, you know, that he's not going to get kicked out because, you know, because he doesn't belong. I'm also now just taking a tiny touch of gold. I'm going to put that in a few different areas on here. So again, I've just created a multi-tonal element to my little trees. Okay, so what I may do for some of the pieces, like with this one here, I've gone for the copper. I don't particularly have other things without it going brown. I don't want everything to look brown. So in that case, what I may do is sort of take this, but then add a little bit of black gesso for my shade and a little bit of white gesso for my highlight. Yeah, that is kind of what I shall continue to do. So again, I will put you on speed up and I'll see you at the other side of it. So here is our little roadblock. No. Ah, too much influence from my daughter there. My little robot. That's the one. Village. I'm quite liking little robots sit here. Now I'm just going to. We've got a little bit of dried up leftover paint here in the gold and the copper, and I'm thinking I'm just going to stipple it. Well, truly too dried up now. But I was just wanting to stipple it over different places. Let's maybe get some more out, just so that it looks a bit more robot-y. Yeah, so it's not. There we go. I just kind of want to add a bit more of a metallic vibe, I think. I want a better word. Going over the project a bit more. So I'm just going to stipple it in various places. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm just going to get in and get some colours going everywhere. Especially these buildings. I just think they'd be a bit more weathered and rusted up. Now, I love how this is looking. But I just think my little rusty robot is just far too much of a contrast. So as much as I want to leave it like this, I may have to make another one day, make a shiny robot. I feel I need to knock it back quite a bit. So I'm going to do some dry brushing. I'm going to dry brush, first of all, with a little bit of this whipped mousse to give it a metallic-y vibe. I'm loving this whipped mousse, by the way, it's awesome. I'll be able to peel this off because it's drying, and so I'll be able to peel that off and stick it on the project if I wanted, which is awesome. You can create a, what do you call it? A skin, that's the one. Right, so I'm going to get a little bit of this on a brush, work it into the brush, and I'm just going to very quickly, I know I was stippling, very quickly get this all over the project. I have to say, my daughter is home from school now. She's on a call with some of her friends and on WhatsApp. So yeah, there's all sorts of noise coming from the other room, so I do apologise for that. There could be a few shrieks and things going on. Right, and a bit more of this stuff. It goes a really long way though, so don't be afraid to use it at all. I've not got the best brush though, so I'm actually going to switch out. Most of my brushes are now in the bathroom. Who would have thought it was so possible to use so many brushes in one project? It is absolutely ridiculous, the amount of brushes that I have gone through doing this. Seriously, I could not believe it. It looks like when I have done it and left it for days. When I've actually been really good and clearing away my brushes as I've been using them. I'm even going to put some of this onto the clouds. I kind of want to keep them white, but I'm just going to tie it in if we've got a bit of a metallic sheen there as well. Yeah, so I'm sadly running out of brushes, which is very terrible. There we go. It's just all said, all to give it a metallic look. Right, so I'm going to be brave, go from that to getting in some black. Okay, just leave that on there for just now. I'm going to use the same brush because as I said, I'm rapidly running out of brushes. It's just, I want to knock this colour back. I probably won't put black on the clouds though. Right, so again, don't have much on my brush, working about 3/4 of the way up, and where should we start? Yep. I am going to dry brush all of this. That's already made that look much grungier. I might come back with the mousse again and highlight some of the ridges and things. But it's just going to help us to find the texture again, because we had all of those die cut bits on here and bits and pieces, and once we start getting the colour on and it all becomes a bit uniform, that can get lost. But the dry brushing helps us find it. So it's literally just finding the edges of things. So it's helping us get that in detail. On these windows and things, we've got what do you call it, sellotape on that. Because I just cut the box up as it was, packing tape and all. So we've still got that there, but that actually gives us some amazing texture. Yeah, and that is really not, we've still got the vibrancy of the colour. I don't think we've lost the colour, but it's just knocking it back a bit more. It's just looking slightly more grungy, and he looks like he belongs there a bit more, which was my intention. Okay. So. It's worth being patient with these sort of projects. Like we kind of went through it looking like a hot mess with all the elements sort of stuck together. All you saw was the brown of the cardboard and the white of the die cut bits, and it looked really random. And then the very first layer of paint that you put down just looks awful as well, because I said that's when it sort of looks a bit like child play. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but as crafters we kind of want to take it to a further level, and that's where all of these layers makes a difference. So be patient, be prepared to build up all your different layers. This is great on this piece. We've got loads of texture going on there. As I said, between the die cut elements and the what do you call it? The die cut elements and yeah, I don't know what else I'm trying to say there. There's loads of texture to be brought up, which is nice. So we're getting there. I'm hoping that the video's not. I'm really giving this quite a good going. So I'm hoping it's not shaking the camera too much. I was so glad when I'm in a proper studio setup. I just feel like I've been saying that for years and a half. Saying to my husband about how long it's been taking him. And he's like, it'll get done, it'll get done. And I was like, yeah, you told me last year. You told me last year that I'd be in before February. So what are we now? December? So we'll see. But I'm going to make my current space that I'm in work for me so that I'm happy here. That is my plan. And then whenever I do eventually get my studio, it'll be a nice pleasant surprise. Okay. So I think knocking that back with black has made a huge difference to how I'm feeling about it. So I might still go souffle as opposed to distress ink. We'll see. We will see. Oh, that texture's just lovely. Funny, I normally dry brush in white. So it feels funny doing it in black, doing it in reverse. It's good though, because with this one here, I mean, it still looks much more grungier than the rest of it. Absolutely, I'm not denying that. But you can see the difference going white, then colour, then knocking it back with black, and then just going direct with the colour onto black. This is still a more vibrant look, but we've managed to tone it down, which is cool. I'm just wondering if I can manage to bring a bit more on some of the edges where I would be putting my distress inks, and then that, as I said, gives me the souffle for later if I want to. So that's very happy with how it's looking, quite delighted. Right, so I still might be able to sort of put some bits of the mousse on. I think we're probably almost good to go. Right, what I do want to do is to create a bit of pipe work. So I'm going to stick these down and then clean them with I kind of want to put maybe 2 or 3 of these together so that it feels like almost like an MDF weight by the time we've got it together, and then we can maybe just have some extra bits and bobs going on there. So I'm just going to glue, as I said, I'm going to glue about 3 or 4 of these together, maybe 4, and then let's colour that up and see where we can add it. But I'm thinking like some pipe work to the edges of these buildings will look fab, and then we'll stick our little robot on just there at the end. So something along those lines. So I'll be back in a moment once I've stuck these together. So that's 5 layers together, and we've now got a weight that's almost like, you know, like chipboard weight. So it's quite sturdy. So what I want to do now is just use the mousse again, and just cover this whole thing in the mousse, and then I will probably get the black gesso on to age it again. So this is probably going to need, this mousse is great, as I said, it can be used as a texture paste. If we'd had stencils or something on the list, but we don't, I'd have been able to show you that. But it can also just be used as a metallic paint, which is just fabulous. So get all that on, as I said, let it dry and give it a second coat. Now I'm not going to waste this mousse that's going off the edge, because this is going to create such a fabulous pattern by the time I've finished. But it's you get a really nice coverage with this stuff. It's so nice. It really is the most amazing product, and it comes in such a wide variety of colours. It's quite epic. What I like about it is it's like, it ticks so many boxes. You've not just bought yourself a metallic paint, you've bought yourself a texture paste and a metallic paint and a building wax. You know, so there's lots that you can do with it, which is just amazing. Get this bottom bit done here. As I said, I'm going to let that dry, and then we will do another coat of this, I think, and then we will do, as I said, just same as we have on the rest of it, a bit of dry brushing, and then we'll find somewhere to attach these pieces. While I'm letting that dry, I'm also just going to paint a few of these cogs that we can add to different areas as well. So I'll be back once these are all painted. Well, I feel like we're on the home straight, which is just as well, seeing as I seem to be severely running out of paint brushes. Gone through everything. So now I'm just taking some black gesso, and I'm just going to grab the edges of this. Again, just a bit of dry brushing, a bit of emphasis on the edges, just to give this more dimension. It looks better when it's not one flat colour. We're also seeing the edges. I love doing this with it. We've got, this is really strong now, and as I said, it's about chipboard thickness. You know, when you buy these little snip art things. So get any dies that you have. If you maybe about, this is 5 times, so 4 or 5 times out of normal card, and layer it up, and you've got a really easy embellishment. And then that's something, because the trouble is when we buy the snip art or the little chipboard embellishments, once we've used them they're gone, but if we've got the die cuts, we can make as many of them as we want, so it's really handy. I know if I had something like this in chipboards, I'd maybe be getting a bit precious about it. So that's just emphasising the edges, and then I'll do the same with the little cogs as well. So I'm bringing my little cityscape back in now, trying to see where we could set some of this pipe work. I think that sits quite well there. So I'm going to chop into it along here. Okay, with it being paper as well, so we've just cut it off. Oops. Then it's quite easy to cut away as well. I'm just going to stick this on for just now, just so that we can move forward with it. I may sort of tuck some gel medium behind it at some other point. There we go. It's fab. quite like something like that, so it's almost like smoke coming out of the chimney. Had it like that. As I said, I probably need to gel medium this a bit later, but I'm really well, it's actually Thursday night, so for me we're actually well ahead, but as I said, I'm working on trying to organise my life, so I'm wanting to try and be a bit more organised, and I want to be getting on with some other things, so I kind of want to have this all finished filming tonight, so I'm just kind of going with it. Dawn will faint. She'll faint if she thinks that I've done this like with 2 days to go. I mean, like, she'll have had it done like a week ago or more. But I think she'll be quite surprised that I'm done. Now that seemed to work earlier, and now it doesn't quite so much. Ooh, having difficulty here. Will that work? No. I quite like that. It's almost like, what do you call it? Like telephone wires. Yeah, that works quite well. Just going to take this off here. And as I said, it's almost a little bit, oh yeah, cool. I like the way that connects. Well, I'm not sure we can, I'll deal with those random bits that have been cut off there in a moment. We can stick some of the cogs that we made down there. So let's just get a bit of glue on these bits here. As I said, a bit later what I will do is sort of turn this round face down, and I will put some gel medium on the back that encases the whole thing, and just to make sure that we've got a very permanent adhesion. There we go. Just hold that down, like so. That is cool. I really love that. It's random, but I love it. So I'm just wondering now whether we should just sort of stick that to that bit there. I did quite like the idea of it going there, but then that chimney's sort of in the way. Actually, I might just put it there, because that building doesn't have much going on. I mean, there's not much going on of interest wise, so I might just stick that there until I've used some old paper here. I've got some leftover spray work there. Right, so I'll stick that there, like so. Right, okay, I'm going to put some cogs on this bit here so to hide those funny ends. So I'm going to pop that there. And it's just going to hide the fact that we've got those loose ends. And I can get a smaller one, so it looks like the two cogs are working together. Let's pop those there. This is fun. I've had so much fun putting this together, I have to say, and I'm also glad that I did it ahead of time, because I think if I was trying to do this and be like wanting to do all the different layers and take my time on it and then having to rush it because I was short of time. That would have been really frustrating. Whereas I'm able to give this the time it deserves. Again, that probably should be medium because we're going on to all sorts of textures going on there. That's fine. Right, the see in my head, this is like little cog fruit or flowers. Got little cog flowers going on in our trees. You said in my head that makes complete and utter perfect sense. What have we got? We've got like 5 of the cogs left. So let's see where we can place them. This is such a fun project. And in reality, we've used cardboard, a little bit of cardboard, the MDF pack, which I can't remember the price of, but it's really not expensive. And as I said, we've already made 3 robots out of it. Now we've made a whole city, and I still have masses and masses of it left. So I also fancy making a sort of bright, shiny robot, which I think I will do at some point. A minute, I'm just now adding whatever cogs that I've got left into various places, just to make the whole thing look a bit more interesting. Oops. And now I've still not used my extra thing, so I possibly could go souffle again. Because that's what I was originally thinking. I'll have to decide which souffle it's going to be. Right. Oh, I've still not done my doodling either. It's got a little robot guy here that's going to walk along Robot City. I'm just going to move that cog, those cogs, because robot guy's going to hide them. And that seems a bit of a shame. I'm going to move them over a bit. I'll put a second one on there. Whatever his name is. What's robot guy called? What do you reckon? I think he's going to stand a bit there. He's going for a little walk. I love it. I love it. Right. Yeah. Let's maybe use all my little cogs up, I think. This has turned out better than I had in my head, which I'm delighted with. I'm just going to move this out of the way so you can see it a bit better. Oh, do I have a spare cog? I do, because I've just noticed a loose end there that's going to be really annoying, but I have a spare cog, so we're all good. I don't have to go and cut out. Mind you, I do have more there, it's just that I didn't have to paint them all up and stuff, and can't be bothered with that. Right, there we go, look! So cool. So I've just realised I've not used yet, I've not used my pens. So I'm going to pull those out, and so I can add some doodle details, and then I need to decide whether I'm going to put some souffle on, which I might well do, just pop some bits and pieces here and there. So actually some of the diamond stuff in the clouds might be quite nice to have sparkly clouds. Okay, 2 seconds. So it was this blue pen that I used on the robot, so everything's going to be getting a blue doodle, because that's what I have, so that's fine. But this will just help to bring everything together. It's amazing the difference a little bit of doodleage makes. Means I can put the panes in of these windows, which is fabby. Oh, I love this so much. So excited. Do you know, and this isn't something that I'd have probably ever sat and thought to make. It was just the robot kits. I was inspired to use the robot kits because they're just gorgeous, and then honestly I had no idea what I then wanted to do with the robots, and it was Kezia's suggestion, and yeah, I'm so delighted that she came up with that. Got to love a child's imagination, but I love it. And I don't know why I wouldn't have thought to do it, because one of my favourite things to do with you know, my scrap papers and things is to make little like house collage scenes. So, but I just know I wouldn't have come up with something like this. Just actually gonna scribble this on and rub it So it's slightly patinaed. Yeah, very happy indeed. So I'm just going to carry on doodling away, but I think I might put you on fast forward while I do that. I've looked out Precious Opal. I took my little swatching thing out. I was choosing between Fool's Gold and Precious Opal because I thought they were the colours that went best with what I have put down so far. But I thought the Precious Opal worked on the clouds as well as on the colours, so I've gone for that one. I'm also just contemplating just taking a bit more of this stuff here and just brushing it on our little. I just feel that he's in Tinseltown and he's a little bit shabby, so I just thought I'll give him a bit more, dress him up a bit. I don't know that it's lifting it that much, to be honest. Just give it a wee dry brush with that. I don't know that it's actually making much difference, so I'm going to just leave it as is. You'll just have to be a contrast. Actually, no, there is a wee bit of a difference. I'm just going to, like I said, just glam him up just ever so slightly. Don't want to lose his rustiness because it's almost like, you know, he's come from some little back beyond village where he's all rusty and patinaed and, you know, weathered the storm, and then he's come to the big city. But like the Robots film, he's made from second-hand parts and he's come to the big city to find his fortune. Here we go. I can always put some of this on it, which I will do too. Right, I'm just going to get some big globules of this to start off with, and I'm going to pop it on the clouds. This is going to make absolutely no difference to what you're seeing just now because it needs to dry before you see all the fancy inclusions. We've already got texture on these clouds, which is cool, with the fact that we use the texture, the marble paste. So we're kind of building on what's already there, but we're just giving it an extra little bit of sparkle. So I'm going to put it on quite thick and heavy on the clouds because I think they'll suit it. We've not got much going on with regards to shading and things on the clouds, so I'll just look how much I've used of this. That's great though, you should use your products, but it's obviously like my favourite colour. Let's hope I can get it again if it runs out. But if not, I'm sure there'll be some new and shiny products. Better to use it up and to not be able to get it again than to save it and you find you have to throw it out because it's all gone hard in your pot. I've learnt that mistake too, so use your products. You enjoy them, you use them. Okay, so that's me got my clouds done. I'm going to give a bit of, I'm going to almost like paint on some of the areas, just thin, just to give it an added bit of sparkle to some of the areas. So we'll do the door, some of these windows. It's just going to lift it a little, just give it a little touches of sparkle. As I said, we'll have to maybe come back in the morning just to see how this is all looking. We're good to go. I'm pop it on these little, in my head these are like these little town sculptures or water features or things like that. Let's give the trees, you can have a bit of added sparkle as well because it's the flowers. My head's a strange place, I know. I'm having a lovely little time making up a little story. Right. Just putting touches in different places, just because I can, really. I'd like to say that there's some sort of fancy thought in it, but they're just not proven to be honest. So I'm just going to do that. Yeah. And then let's get our little robot stuck down, and then we can come back in the morning and see how the project is looking. I had a little cat coming there beside me, but I've just got used to it. Wasn't at all. Okay. Lovely. Right, stop faffing, Julia. I think we're good to go. She says, continuing. Stop, stop, stop. You've said to everyone you're going. Just sort of adding it to these grassy areas. Right. So and then let's give a little robot guy a bit of, let's dress him up a little bit. Just so he's got a little bit going for him. Looks like he's made an effort. So putting more heavy down this side. There we go. Right, I think we're good. So I'm just going to stick that down there with some gel medium, and then I will be back in the morning to show you the finished project. Okay, so this is a robot city, all finished, all dry, full of sparkles. Absolutely love it. And my daughter loves it, and it was her idea. So where this will go, I don't know now, but it was fun to make. And look, mostly out of cardboard. So it just shows what you can do with not a huge amount of stash. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Dawn and Julia Create. Please do go and check to see what the lovely Dawn has done. She is amazing when it comes to mixed media. She's the font of all knowledge, so do go over and check to see what she has done with hers. I can't wait to see what the extra thing was that she added, and yeah, what she's done as well. So I will be tuning in at 6 to watch Dawn. Yeah, thank you so much. If you have enjoyed it here, please do consider liking and subscribing, and I will be back with some more crafty goodness very, very soon. Okay, take care then, and goodbye.